All right, we're live. Welcome to episode 28 of the Pro Go Baduk and Weiqi podcast. I'm Xiao Dai, and we have again Gaza. Gaza. This episode is coming to the listeners a little bit late, but it's better late than never.
Mate, you had to take a break, didn't you?
Yeah, the trip was booked, and then work tell me that I have to be there on Friday night when we usually prepare this stuff.
Mate.
And I didn't end up doing what I wanted them to do anyway. So it was just like whatever.
Mate, tough times.
Yeah. But whatever.
But we got to cover what happened in the Pro Go scene.
Yeah. But
I mean, we've got to start with the Hoban Cup, right?
We're going to start with the Hoban Cup. Yeah. I'm just surprised that people didn't come here to listen to what I have to say about work and stuff. But I don't know. But yeah. But let's start with the Hoban Cup. Gaza, what a Hoban Cup! Maybe we should remind people what a Hoban Cup is.
You want me to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So the Hoban Cup is. For those who are familiar with the Nongshim Cup, it's basically a Nongshim Cup for women. For those who are not familiar, it is a 3-team event. China, Korea, and Japan. Each country has 5 players, and it is a win and continue format.
Right.
So each game is just a 1v1. If you lose, you are out. You don't play anymore. If you win, you stay on. So you keep playing until you lose, and when 2 countries are eliminated, the one country that's left is the champion.
Right.
So basically, you have to eliminate you don't have to eliminate all 5 players on the other 2 countries. They could eliminate each other, but you have to be the last country standing.
Yeah. Now, given that that's the case, let's look at the lineup. For Korea and Japan and China. So Korea,
So we should. I guess we should. Sorry, I guess we should mention that the Hoban Cup. So since there are 5 players for each country, and 1 player is eliminated every game, there can be up to 14 games in this tournament.
Yes.
But the way they've structured it is they played the first 7 games. I believe it was in May.
Yep.
I can't remember the exact month. I'm just quickly checking now, and it was in May.
Yep.
They played the first 7 games, and so last week they played game 8 until the finish. Now there may not be 14 games because if a country has multiple players left, but the other 2 countries are eliminated, they stop playing.
Yeah.
So it is possible to win in fewer games.
Yeah.
But they started at game 8, and they kept playing 1 game each day until only 1 country was left.
Yeah. Now, Gaza, you mentioned that, of course, this 7 games were played in May, and they were scheduled to play a maximum of 7 games. So the Hoban Cup only happens in 2 stages, 7 games each, which is slightly different to Nongshim Cup, which usually happens in 3 stages, around 4 or 5 games per stage. So that's another difference. But let's look at the lineup for Korea, Japan, and China. So Korea, we have Lee So-ju, Hyo Seo-hyun, and then the big guns start coming out. Kim Chae-young, Yujin, Choi Jeong. They have maybe between the 3 of them, maybe quite a few international women's titles. So you'd expect Korea to be the favorites just based on the fact that they have the big 3 over there. And in Japan, we have everyone's favorite, Nakamura Sumire, Suzuki Ayumi, Shie Yimin, Fujisawa Rina, and Ueno Asami. So very strong lineup, especially the top 2, Fujisawa and Ueno. And then in China, we have Wei Ming, Li He, a looming trend. Zhou Hongyu and Yujin. So Zhou Hongyu and Yujin are big names in the women's game. And the other players are not weak either. And we can see that because if you look at the first 7 games, Wu Yiming started with a bang. She had 5 wins in a row. So she beat Nakamura, Sumire, Lee Soju, Suzuki Ayumi, Hyo Seo-hyun, Xie Yiming before losing to Kim Chae-young. So that's just 6 games already. And then in the last game in the first stage, Fujisawa Rina managed to beat Kim Chae-young. So Fujisawa Rina is going to be playing in game 8, and she'll be playing Li He of China. So
yes, so China's, thanks to Wu Yiming, China is in a very strong position.
That's right. Now, Gaza, what happened in game 8?
So game 8 was Fujisawa Rina versus Li He. 2 women that have a fairly, they don't really have a history against each other, but they have been on the international scene for quite a while now, both of them.
Yep.
Li He is, a little older. Rina Fujisawa, of course, was a prodigy, so she's still quite young. But it turned out to be, well, a good game for China.
Yeah.
I believe that Li He was white, and I think that what happened was, I'm not sure exactly, but I think Fujisawa had not the best time management.
Right.
And when she got to Byoyomi, she made a few too many mistakes and was not able to get enough territory.
Yeah.
Just to also inform everyone of the time controls, it's 1 hour main time each, and then once you run out of main time, you have 60 seconds Byoyomi. So that means that you have to make a move. You have to move every 60 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, so just playing through the game right now, I do remember watching the commentary, and basically the Chinese commentator was saying a lot of Fujisawa Rina's moves were just very slow. They're like quite solid, but just a bit slow. And
Sorry, Li He is black, by the way. I think
Yeah.
I said she was white. She's actually black.
Yeah, Li He is black, but I think it ended up being that Li He just ended up having a bit more too much territory.
Yes, I think so I believe that the losing move was move 132.
132, right? Connecting,
So yeah, for some reason that is bad. I believe that the correct move is to play where black played the next move.
Right, just to connect over there.
Yeah, just to
Right.
connect there for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why, but that's what the AI is saying. The AI is saying it was a very close game anyway in terms of points.
Yeah.
But unfortunately for Fujisawa, black just had a few too many.
Yeah, and basically, yeah. I mean, AI says Fujisawa was winning, but I think she was only ahead by 4 or 5 points, which, it can easily be eaten into in the end game, which is exactly what happened. Yeah, just I think Li He's just played a little bit better when she had more time. So there was a good game for China. So now after Fujisawa Rina is eliminated, Japan is down to the last player, which is Ueno Asami, but she doesn't have to play yet because they're gonna bring out Yujin of Korea to face Li He in the next game.
Yes. It's always the country that's not playing.
Yep.
They always are the next team to sort of join the fray. So
Yeah.
Li He. So game 8 was China versus Japan. So whoever wins is then going to play the Korean player next.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now in this game, Li He played Yujin. Now Yujin just came off a high in because she won the Wu Qingyuan Cup. Now there's some pluses and minuses to that because It tends to be that after you win a big competition, you do tend to loosen up a little bit, and there is often you notice that a slump in form, and that may be exactly what's happened, because Lee He managed to beat Yujin, which would you say that's a little bit of an upset, Gaza?
No, I wouldn't necessarily say that, because Lee He, again, it's not a huge upset, because Lee He is a formidable player. I mean, she is herself an international title holder, although her international title was many years ago. That sort of form doesn't go away at Lee He's age. She's not that old, so
yeah, maybe early 30s, maybe something like that.
I'm not sure if she's even. Is she 30? Even she may have just turned 30. Let me see if I can find her age.
Yeah.
She really isn't that old.
Yeah.
Just gonna quickly find it. Nope. Yeah, she turned 30 this year, apparently. So.
Oh, wow. So she's actually a lot younger than I thought.
Yes, she's not that old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, okay. And your game doesn't go away at 30.
No.
So she's still formidable. It's just that she's not Yujin or Zhou Hongyu level at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't a huge upset. I did think that I didn't think that this was going to be an easy win for Yujin.
Yeah.
And it turned out that it wasn't a win at all. Because Lee He won this game.
It wasn't even easy. Now the thing I do remember about this game was they started a curve somewhere in the corner over here. And in this game, Yujin is black, Lee He is white. So Yujin started a curve in the corner. Now notice this black group here is not. It's got the framework going, but it's probably going to be alive if you treat it as a life and death problem. But we'll see what happens. So they keep finding this code, and then Lee He made this code threat. It jumps and then finish off the code. So for some reason, Yujin was kind of doing a gamble where she says, okay, maybe by adding this one move, this group is alive. You can't kill me, which was gonna be might be a very tricky. So what ended up happening was that this whole group just died. And I think I remember.
I think the problem was move. The real problem I think was move 97 as well. I think Black should just cut here, but Black played on the outside.
Yeah, I do remember watching the one of the streams, and in the stream the commentator was going full on about, okay, what if Black cuts over here and all the variations, can Black live, or can Black sacrifice this in a good way? He spent like a full 10 minutes on it, and then Yujin just says, I'm gonna hunt her on the outside and just sack it like that, which kind of surprised a lot of the commentators. And yeah, it's a little bit surprising, but that's what Yujin chose, and I think that's just not enough. Just the group was too big.
So I think that sacrifice was just not going to work.
Yeah.
And, she couldn't come back from that.
No. So therefore that was another good win for Lee He. So therefore this is Lee He's second win of the tournament. So China had a good run already, because what have we got? We got Wu Yiming on 5 wins, and then now Lee He on 2 wins. So China's won 7 games already. So that's enough to eliminate a full team and a half almost. Okay, so after beating Yujin, it's down to Japan's last player, which is Ueno.
Mind you, now Korea is also down to their last player.
Yeah, and China still has 4 players left, including Lee He. So.
Yes, so that means now that game 10 will be Ueno Asami against Lee He.
Yep.
Now, for Japan to win, Ueno Asami has to basically keep winning, and she obviously China still has 4 players left. Korea has 1. for Ueno Asami to keep winning, she has to beat all of them. So she has to win 5 games.
Yeah. So
for Japan to win this.
Yes. So Ueno Asami has to beat Lee He, then Choi Jeong, then I guess Lu Mingquan, Zhou Hongyu, and Yujin. So
yes.
And I think it's almost a similar thing that Choi Jeong has to do if Korea were to win. Choi Jeong has to basically.
Well, we'll see because Choi Jeong's no matter what happens in this game, Choi Jeong will be playing in game 11, so we can go over that scenario.
Yeah.
After we talk about game 10.
Yeah. So game 10 was a crazy game. I think a lot of people would have become fans of Ueno Asami after this one, and you'll probably see why. So Ueno Asami is black and Lee He is white. So I think the beginning was quite normal, but then you see Ueno Asami's trademark moves very soon. So so Lee He just makes a group here a bit alive and then jumps, and then so Ueno Asami starts attacking right away. So of course if white was to block, then black can somehow think about cutting or something, but apparently the cut doesn't work. So Lee He could have blocked, but she tries to jump over here. Okay, so then keep going. So Ueno Asami puts on pressure on both groups. So apparently there's some really deep reading in this area. So somehow Ueno Asami managed to get her tentacles inside this white group. So white has to make a move. I guess it doesn't really in itself doesn't contain any points to connect her groups up, but yeah. But now it feels like this is getting into Ueno Asami's rhythm because she's kind of getting something to attack, and that's Ueno Asami's style. Okay, so Ueno Asami successfully created a weak white group over here. So and she's not relenting because while she's attacking this group, she's also putting some threats on this white group over here. So let's just see what. So I thought this move was really crazy. This move over here by Ueno Asami. Of course, this move in and of itself doesn't contain any points, but it's very obvious because if white played here, then white could make 2 eyes, but she just played a move to take away some eye space and also helps with the RG in the corner. Because there's a possibility that black can cut off this tail if this tail's liberties gets too tight. Anyway, but yeah, that's crazy. That's basically forcing Lee He to basically take this stone. So now notice that this Lee He's now got 2 groups that's not alive, and this is exactly Ueno Asami's forte. So she's creating. So she decides to try and capture the tail, and Lee He decided she had no time to save the tail. But anyway, they keep fighting. Now, after making this move, obviously there's a push and cut over here to capture this white group, and also there's a Hane out. So yeah, at this point, basically Lee He is in deep trouble. But Ueno Asami played really well. Like she managed to just keep attacking these 2 groups, creating chances, and now Lee He is basically on a one-way ticket to a loss. Yeah, and
one-way ticket to elimination.
Yeah, to getting eliminated.
That group does not look happy.
No. Yeah, it's crazy. She got cut. Okay. Just keep fighting, but it ended up being even crazier at the end. Let's just fast forward to where the action happens. So Lee He managed to save this group with the ko, and Ueno Asami is actually koing over here. What happened? I think this whole white group died. I think.
So it appears to be the case. The white that doesn't have.
Yeah. So.
I don't think it has 2 eyes. No.
Yes.
I don't think it has an eye on the left.
Yeah. That's not an eye. That's an eye. Is this an I? No.
No, that's not an I, because even if white plays on the left, black can make it can black make it a false I? I believe so.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's not life. Not life. It cannot stay alive. Yeah. So this whole white group got only one eye. Yeah. So this was a crazy attacking game by Ueno Asami, and she managed to win this one for Japan. Now I'm not sure what other people were thinking, but I guess I'm not really sure how many people would expect Ueno Asami to keep winning, because her next opponent is Choi Jeong, obviously widely considered to be the number one women's player in the world.
And also, Choi Jeong recently beat Ueno Asami in the Hoban Cup.
Right. Yeah. So she could be up for revenge. And of course, Ueno Asami, I believe, her nickname in Japan is Hammer Lady or Hammer Girl. So yeah, she does like to hammer opponents with her go. Her style is very, very, very aggressive in terms of fighting. Always wants to kill some groups. Now, and so next comes Choi Jeong versus Ueno Asami.
And so now Choi Jeong is the last player for Korea.
Yep.
And so, like Ueno Asami, Choi Jeong, if she wants her team to win, she has to win the remaining games.
Yep.
And basically, she has to do what Zhou did in the Nongshim Cup and win 4 games in a row.
Yeah.
Of course, in the Nongshim Cup, Zhou was the last player for Korea. And there were still 4 players left, and Zhou managed to beat them all.
Yeah.
Although in Zhou's case, he had to beat 2 Chinese players and 2 Japanese players.
Yeah.
Whereas Choi Jeong, if she were to do it, she would have to beat 1 Japanese player and 3 Chinese players.
Yeah.
And the first player she has to play is the Japanese player, Ueno Asami.
Yeah. Now, so basically in this game, Choi Jeong is black, Ueno Asami is white. And I just remember that Choi Jeong plays some fairly slack moves. I think the commentators didn't really like this move by Choi Jeong because it wasn't accomplishing anything, but that's just a sign of things to come. Because Choi Jeong, I think, just plays some really slack moves overall. And
I think again, this was on a Tuesday, I believe.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to watch. I think that was sorry, if you go back to was it move 95? Was that the move?
Yeah, so I think AI really wanted Choi Jeong to Atari this one stone, because getting this one stone extended like this was really big. And basically Choi Jeong has 2 running groups now, but if Choi Jeong could have instead of playing here, could Atari here, then potentially Choi Jeong could somehow capture this one stone or create some more strength in here in terms of building up.
Yes, I think it was. Yes, it definitely would have made her group stronger, and it would have also. I think it would have also made White's group at the top. White's group at the top can surely live.
Yeah,
but it would be small.
Yeah, and it's basically put more pressure on this one group. So it's a very, very tiny difference. I mean, really, if maybe for an amateur player, like if you're not that strong, you wouldn't be able to see that, oh, this was a mistake. Because without looking at the commentary, if I just look at the Kifu, I may not have picked out that this move was so big. But anyway, basically this move, because Choi Jeong failed to make that move, she ended up letting Ueno Asami, kind of attack her 2 groups separately, which again is just Ueno Asami's forte. So basically play right into what she likes the best. And I think it just ended up being that Choi Jeong just didn't have enough points in the end. I don't think it was very. The game was not very. Or should I say, was not very like. The game was close, but it wasn't like
in terms of points. I think it was fairly close. I think Choi Jeong, if she wanted to, she could have lost by like 3.5 points or 2.5 points or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think, as you do, you make overplays when you're behind
Right.
because you've got no choice.
Yeah. So I guess at the amateur level, like 3.5 point means totally not very much, but at the pro level, it's different. It's a
Like
huge.
they just
Yeah.
like they know
Yeah.
they can count and they know that they're behind, so
Yeah.
got to make desperate moves. And
Yeah.
I think Choi Jeong, I think they were saying that Choi Jeong probably played. She played, she resigned a bit later than she usually would have done. I think
Yeah.
because this is a team event and she's the last player for Korea, so she's not just playing for herself; she's playing for the whole team.
Yeah.
So in that case, you might. It's not really a surprise that they would play on a little bit longer, just because it's not. It's they got to think about their whole team, right? And
Yeah.
so
So yeah. So maybe it might be just very surprising to many, but Choi Jong actually did lose this game, and you know what this
yeah,
means?
means that Korea eliminated.
Yes, they actually just came. Well, basically they just come. They came last.
Yes, I do want to discuss about that, but
Yeah.
maybe we can discuss that after we go through the remaining games
Yeah.
of the
Sure.
Hoban Cup,
Yeah.
because I definitely want to talk about Korea's performance
Yeah.
and, compared to their expectations. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Now we'll talk about the performance, but basically, Korea have now been eliminated. Japan has only one player left. China still has three. They are Lu Mingquan, Hongyu, and Yujin. So some big names there still. So this is
Yes.
Ueno
So
Asami's second win. Yeah.
yep, that's her second win. So she needs to play. Then if she wants to win, she has to beat 3 Chinese players in a row.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um,
And the first one of those
is
three, it turned out to be Lu Mingchuan.
Yeah, which isn't that big of a surprise because Zhou Hongyu and Yujin are widely regarded as the top two women in China. So they send out the third best player in the team, and Lu Mingquan is black in this game. Ueno Asami is white, and let's just fast forward a little bit. So let's just keep showing you the moves. Basically, it was a fairly even fight. And Ueno Asami just didn't really get too much of a chance to do her usual, find a group to attack kind of thing. In fact, it ended up being that her group was being attacked over here. Now, after Ueno Asami lived in the corner like this, just by playing these very vulgar moves, like one of the streams, the commentator Wang Haoyang just said, just Ueno Asami just plays so bad over here. You can kind of see why, because even though she lived with a corner, Lu Mingquan's group got really strong and she damaged her side over here. So she lost quite a few points on the side because of this black stone over here can just extend into white's territory. So, and white is quite, black become quite strong everywhere in this area. So pro commentators weren't a big fan of how Ueno Asami played over here, just living in the corner. But whatever it may be, and now Lu Mingquan, and now Ueno Asami decides to the best chance for her to win this game was to kind of destroy more territory over here, and she's basically a little bit behind, quite a bit behind at this point.
Anyway, and look at white stones in the middle there.
Yeah.
There's it looks pretty bad. I mean,
yeah,
she may be able to connect to the lower left.
Yeah.
But
now,
yeah, I mean, for an amateur, if you're playing white, you're probably a bit concerned.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously two things that white can do, which is kind of live locally, try and somehow connect back to here, or try and connect back to here. But it's not. It doesn't look that easy. But anyway, Ueno Asami decided, since she's behind.
Can I just also mention one thing?
Yeah.
At this point in the game, Lu Mingquan was already in Byoyomi.
Right. Yeah.
Ueno Asami still had about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention that, which that may. Like it's worth knowing that Lu Mingquan had to make a move every minute at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, which can be tough. But Ueno Asami decided that, hey, I don't want to save these 2 stones, so she decides to make it even more complicated by pulling out these 3 stones over here. So basically, like commentators weren't really a big fan of Lu Mingquan doing this, but I guess it kind of, the idea, you can kind of see the idea, it kind of puts more pressure on White in terms of making it harder for White to connect back to this group and also make this group stronger. But anyway, so yeah, now this looks like the killing move, because White either have to live locally, which it's not obvious how to do that, or White can somehow connect back, but Black is too thick on both sides, so no matter what move White makes, Black can probably try to do a push and cut kind of thing and just finish them off. Now at this point, I had some very dire predictions about Ueno Asami. I thought she's definitely going to lose, just because of how precarious this dragon looks. But she did the impossible, didn't she?
Well,
so you just played here.
Can you go back a bit? Can you go back to move 125?
125. Yeah.
Okay. So I believe that Ueno Asami at this point had about 20 minutes.
Right.
Of course, Lu Mingquan was still in Byoyomi, and Ueno Asami spent all of her main time, all of her remaining main time on this move.
Right.
So she got into Byoyomi on this move. So she was making all of her previous moves, pretty quickly. I'm not sure if it was, just her usual style, or if she was trying to, pressure Lu Mingquan a time situation. But she decided at this point that her situation was pretty serious. And so she needed to spend all of her time to try and prepare something, some sort of trick or something like that, because it was looking pretty dire. But just worth knowing that move 126 was when Ueno Asami got into Byoyomi.
Yeah. Now, basically, at this point, after White managed to kind of try and push out over here, Lu Mingquan protected this cut over here. Now, some commentators weren't really a big fan of this cut, saying that this is just maybe it's kind of you're fighting a battle, in point A, and now suddenly you go to point B. But I can kind of see why Lu Mingquan want to do that, because White can wedge over here, and then if Black Ataris, then White can Atari here. If you save this 1 stone, then White can Atari and then cut. So if you don't play it right, you could see a scenario where these 3 stones would be just would be gone in a ko. But so I guess Lu Mingquan can play here, and I think it's kind of almost sente, because when White extends here, it can cut off this 1 stone somehow, so it's some kind of a thread. But Ueno Asami just correctly took her chance, and firstly she cut off the Black group, so Black has the Atari here to save this group, and then she Hane. This is the correct move, just ignoring Black's threat.
And now can we have a look at this? It seems like Ueno Asami has actually managed to get her middle group to connect to the top left group. Like going back 20-30 moves, you would not have expected that, but there were just enough weaknesses in Black's groups to allow that to happen. And it's got to say that's Shinjin So-esque. We shouldn't keep referring to Shinjin So, but it's the type of maneuvering that it's really, really impressive.
So I think a lot of people just become fans with Ueno Asami. Now, after making a series of right moves, now apparently at this point I believe Ueno Asami might be back to about 30% according to AI, so which is quite good considering her group almost just died in the middle. And I think she had a chance to make it 50-50 if she had just played right in the middle here. But instead she didn't. I think playing in the middle here would kind of put pressure on either this group or this group. So something about Black was going to die, but it requires a lot of reading.
Because there are so many there are 2 cutting points on those 3 stones as well. So playing in the middle is threatening both cuts.
But of course, that's kind of you do need quite a bit of reading to kind of see that. But anyway, she didn't see that move. She kind of played the next best, which is kind of captured in the 2 stone. So now the Weiqi is completely safe. But Looming Trend is still in the game. Credit to her. She she made a few slow moves. She's still in the game. It's
actually Black is still ahead, I believe.
Yeah.
And I mean you do need mental fortitude, even if you're ahead after you've just sort of failed to kill a big group, let the group escape, even though you're ahead. If it was Lee Chang Ho, he wouldn't care, because he only, if he's up by half a point, he's fine and dandy. But for other players, it can be a bit tilting. To do that. So let's see how Li Ming Chuan sort of handles that.
So basically, when Ueno Asami peeped over here, the commentator and the AI was saying that really Lu should really counterattack by jumping over here. But if she jumps over here, then that means when Black wedges later on, something like this, then Black cannot stop him. So Looming Trend just starts to connect. So basically, that's kind of giving Ueno Asami something for free. And I do remember watching the stream of Wang Haoyang. He said, at this point, it feels like Ueno Asami has completed a warm up, and she's playing really well. And she makes this wedge. She comes through, cuts through over here, and she made quite a few points just by blocking this area off as well. So I think at this point it's kind of getting closer, and it might be that Ueno is pulling ahead a little bit as well. I think at this point.
So can we go back to move 183?
183, yeah.
So I believe this was the losing move here.
Right.
So I think I think Black just needed to play a simple Yosei move.
Right.
Something like up the top.
Yeah.
Just that. Playing right there.
Yeah.
Just simple Yosei, and like it's a very close game. It's like half a point or something like that.
Right.
But I think that move just basically, taking the code just basically gave up Sente.
Yeah.
In Yosei, and it lost like 2 points, 2 or 3 points.
Right.
So
yeah.
And from there, Ueno Asami actually played really good Yosei.
Yeah.
I've heard people say that her Yosei is relatively weak.
Yeah.
That's just what I've heard. I can't say for sure, because I haven't seen enough of her games. Certainly not enough of her games where she gets into Yosei.
Yeah.
But in here, once she had a lead in the end game, she didn't give it up.
Yeah. And I do believe that Lumingshan does realize that she's behind, so she ended up fighting his massive Ko just by now she fight this Ko because she fought for like a Yosei, but the problem is this Ko determines the life and death of this whole group over here. You realize that this whole group only has one eye at the moment, and this Ko is what determines whether it lives or not. And I guess it was just too hard. Now there was a little bit of a controversy over here when Ueno Asami played this move. Now this was a little bit made into more than what it seemed probably. Now in Wang Haoyang's stream, when he saw Ueno Asami make this move, he got really angry. He was like, well, this move is rude. Now, why is that? Now, imagine if, because they're fighting a Ko, imagine if Ueno Asami didn't play this move as a Ko threat. He could have, for example, played Atari from the inside. So Black has to take, and then there's another Ko threat just by throwing in. So Ueno Asami could have had 2 Ko threats in this area, but instead she played this one move, which allowed Black to connect. So that becomes only one code threat instead of two.
Yes, there's no more code threats in that corner.
Yeah, so Wang Haoyang was saying that by playing here, Ueno Asami is basically saying to Lu that, hey, don't bother about this code. I have way more code threat than you. I can just throw away one code threat like this and I'll still win this code. And apparently Wang Haoyang found it to be really rude, and so he made a big fuss about it in his stream, and which was then picked up on by the one of the senior Weiqi reporters in China, and he wrote a news article about it. But maybe it was just made out to be bigger than what it is.
It is. That's an interesting. Point. I can't say whether or not I agree with that because I'm not a professional. I'm not too familiar with the professional philosophy, but I can at least understand that argument.
Yeah.
To play a move which when there's a move that does create more co-threats, even if you don't need them.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It feels like it's equivalent to if you're ahead by 1.5 points, but you play a super safe move that costs 1 point.
Yeah.
But it's super safe, so you guarantee a win by 0.5 point. I mean,
yeah,
it seems equivalent to that, but maybe in this case, I mean, it's quite clear that there's a move that gives 2 co-threats.
Yeah.
So
anyway, just a little
interesting.
Bit
in any case, Asami won.
Yeah. In any case, it didn't really matter because at this point, Lu Bingchen just gave up. He finished off this code, but started another code here, but there's no really any suitable code threat. So this is Ueno Asami's 3rd win, and she's now, because she's now on 3 wins, she also gets the special prize for winning 3 games or more in a row. I think every game she wins from now on, she'll be paid, I believe, 2 million won. Now instead of whatever her normal game fee is for Hoban Cup. Now, which is interesting because 2 million won is maybe, how much is it? Around 2,000 Australian dollars, or maybe
around 2,000 Australian dollars. Yeah.
It's about $1,500 US dollars, maybe, something like that. But in the Nongshim Cup, if the men's or the Opens team, if any player gets 3 wins or more, they start getting paid 10 million won, which is 5 times the figure on offer here in the Hoban Cup. So this is just
mind you, Ueno Asami can play in the Nongshim Cup if she qualifies.
Yes.
So it's not like it's a men's only tournament.
No, it's just that
I mean, yeah, it makes sense that the open version of this tournament pays higher prizes. I don't really think that's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Mind you, by the way, I just want to say this was game of the week for me.
Yeah.
This was absolutely riveting. And I remember in the Discord, everyone was sort of cheering for Asami, and very impressed by the play. I think she gained several fans in this game.
Yeah, a lot. I think definitely after this game, I would want to pay more attention to Ueno Asami's Kifu when they come out, and just because I think her style of play is very entertaining. I think some of the other players are more measured in their moves, but she seems to have this style where she tries to pick a fight and manage to succeed in killing dragons often.
Yes. It's very much the anti. I would say it's virtually the opposite of someone like Iyama.
Yeah, right.
Who, or every single move that he plays seems to be calculated precisely.
Yeah.
Whereas Ueno Asami is, I mean, she's very aggressive. Her style reminds me of Shinjin So, to be honest.
Right. Strange.
And Byun Sang-il as well.
Yeah, Byun Sang-il. Che Cho-han, he's a bit of a
Choi Cho-han. Yeah.
It's very crazy. Okay, so that's Ueno Asami's 3rd straight win, but she still has 2 Chinese players who are really, really strong to come. So the first one up would be Zhou Hongyu.
Next one up, Zhou Hongyu, it turns out.
And is Ueno Asami gonna win this one and make it 4 in a row and challenge?
Well,
China?
I think we should say that this game was not close.
No.
As credit to Ueno Asami, she fought hard and she had an amazing Hoban Cup, but she was definitely the second best player in this game.
Yeah. Now, Zhou Hongyu is black in this game. Ueno Asami was white, and I think it got pretty bad pretty quickly. So I honestly I would have thought that this would be bad for white already, because white by just extending here hurt the corner, but apparently it was still okay for white, and so maybe it's just not that bad. But anyway, I think Ueno Asami, she likes to attack, but for whatever reason, people just she played in the corner here, maybe trying to create some RG, but I guess a lot of commentators didn't like this move at all. Basically, they said it just made black's corner stronger, and she didn't really gain that much from it. So she played this move, and then Zhou Hongyu just said, okay, I'll make my corner even stronger, and so basically this move ended up being nothing but like a dame, really.
It's not even an RG, is it?
Yeah, it's not. There's no RG, so basically she just made Ueno Asami play a dame, and this dame is such that if black later on wants to cut, black can still cut. So it was a dame, but just not much value in it. I think by this point, Ueno Asami is already behind, because it's just some of the move she made just doesn't really work. It doesn't have much value in it. But anyway, and so they keep playing, but I guess and she got cut as well.
So, Zhou Hongyu just played really solidly. She she didn't really give white much of a chance for counterplay.
Yeah, it's and at this point you can see Ueno Asami is in deep trouble. This whole white group here is not connected to anything, and just no RG. Just really behind. Now I did hear that they had this characterization that a lot of women's players in China they play a really aggressive style, but apparently top women's players like Zhou Hongyu and Yujin, they don't. They just play reasonably measured moves, like the top men players. So I guess maybe it's just a sign of your strength. If you the stronger you are, the more likely you're to play this measured kind of moves. But at this point it got really bad for Ueno Asami. I don't know how she can continue, because notice how white groups did, and there's not much RG that you can speak of, and this white group might get cut off. But anyway, she did cut this thing, cut these 3 stones off. But then Zhou Hongyu just plays so beautifully here. First he said, okay, you can have it, but before you have it, do you want to block, so that I can reduce you? Okay, so, okay, you want it, you really want these 3 stones so bad? Okay, I can give it to you. Bang, and cuts off the other ones, and Ueno Asami still has to play a move, and it's still Gote. So basically it's Gote. So Zhou Hongyu just got the biggest remaining move on the board. So basically there's nothing else, it's empty on the board. So she got the last big move, and so her sacrifice of these 3 stones was just really really beautifully played. And I think after this point, unless Ueno Asami unless Zhou Hongyu makes a huge mistake, there's no really coming back for Ueno Asami.
I believe black was up by about 5 points.
Right.
Yeah, including the Komi. So black's up by maybe like 12 points on the board.
Yeah.
And
and I guess it just wasn't gonna be Ueno Asami's day. And I think in this game it didn't look like Ueno Asami has any chance of coming back, and just because nothing's under attack from Zhou Hongyu's perspective.
No, none of her groups
are really
in any danger. They're just too solid.
Yeah.
Hongyu played really, really well.
Yeah, and I think Ueno Asami tries to create some RG over here, but I think it's just
Yeah,
too
and
little too
yeah,
late.
notice how Zhou Hongyu just gives up those 3 stones in the bottom left
Yeah,
because she can.
yeah. So it doesn't really matter anymore.
Yeah.
Whatever, you can have them. So yeah, Ueno Asami just resigned over here. So this concludes the Hoban Cup. It's a win for China because now Ueno Asami, being Japanese, the last Japanese player, is now eliminated.
Yes. So that also means that Yujin, China's last player, doesn't she doesn't actually play
Yeah,
because there's no one left.
yeah. And I do believe the Hoban Cup, just like the Nongshim Cup, is such that only the winning team has prize money. All other players just get paid a game fee. And maybe if you win more than 3 games in a row, then you get the special prize money that I've
I'm pretty
discussed.
sure that's the case. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure you're correct. Yes.
So therefore, Yujin, despite not having played a game, will take a share of the prize money. So basically, congrats to Team China.
Yes. So and China were far and away the deserved winners.
Yeah.
I would say that Wu Yiming was the most valuable player
Yeah.
of the Hoban Cup with her 5 wins to really set up a solid
Yeah.
base for China, and they got 8 wins
Yeah.
in total.
Yeah. Now,
So it's very, very strong.
yeah. And this is the Chinese team holding up the prop check, and you notice that Wu Yiming is actually looks like a quite old guy.
Yes, he actually looks like the a guy that would have several red telephones.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know what's happened there, but anyway, this is
Probably for COVID reasons she couldn't attend. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, that's of course Zhou Hongyu, Li He, Lu Mingquan, and Wu Yiming, who had won 5 games, couldn't make
Yeah.
it.
So Yu Ying is on the left.
Yep.
Lu Mingquan is holding the flowers on the right.
Yep.
Li He is the tall one in the middle, and then the red jacket is
Zhou
Zhou
Hongyu.
Hongyu.
Yeah. Now, Ueno Asami did say in the post-game interview that she was hoping to make it to the last game, which didn't happen because that would be.
I'm sure she was.
Yeah. And she did let other people in on her secret on how she made 3 wins in a row. Now apparently, she was following this exercise program which is popular in Japan at the moment, which is called 11 Minutes from Hell, supposedly. So it's basically this fat burning video is very popular in Japan, and apparently she's been doing that before the game that she won. And
I do. Yes, I have heard that. I do believe she's been doing this for several months, if not a year or more. I don't think that she started doing this for specifically for the Hoban Cup.
Yeah, but I think,
but her successes this year. I mean,
yeah,
she's clearly made a step up in terms of her level, and her achievements this year.
Yeah. I mean, of course, we're talking about how she won the Senko Cup, which is an international women's tournament.
Yes, and she also won the Aiju Central Hospital Cup, a domestic major.
Yeah.
Beating Rina Fujisawa in the final.
Yeah. And I just another thing is that one of the streamer Wang Haoyang, when he was watching Zhou Hongyu's game, he was so impressed. He said, "Well, they call Ueno Asami the Hammer Girl. Zhou Hongyu should be a Thor. As in the guy with the big hammer."
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Thor's hammer.
Yeah.
But Thor was Greek, wasn't he?
I think they're just referring to the fact that the hammer reference.
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
Right. Anyway, so whatever it was,
So can I discuss? Yes, can I discuss the sort of the overall performance? So, like I said, China 8 wins. Huge success. I think they should be very satisfied with their achievement. Japan ended up with 4 wins.
Yeah, not bad.
And Korea, who you would have thought were perhaps the favourites, they had 1 win.
1 win.
And I want to go back. I want to have a look at their how they pick the teams, how each country picked the teams.
Right.
Now, China, if you recall, we did actually cover this in a much earlier podcast, but the Hoban Cup selection was actually basically run at the same time as the Asian Games selection.
Yeah.
So they had an Asian Games selection, and the top 4 made the Asian Games team, but the top 5 made the Hoban Cup team. So it was actually it was the same qualifying event for both for China.
Correct.
And for the Asian Games, they had quite an intensive league format.
Right. Yep.
Where they had like 9 or 10 Chinese women, and I think it was a double round robin or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And so, it was quite a thorough sort of event. And so you had players that played consistently well in the top 5.
Well, that's one aspect of it, and I guess the other aspect, some people say that it might be favoring the younger people. Like for example, Rina Wei is nearing 60, and she still has to play in this really intense schedule, so it can take a toll because of how physically demanding, playing in a league format over a short period of time it can be.
Right, but you do have to remember that in the Hoban Cup, except for the several month break between the 2 stages, every game is played, one day after the other. So Wu Yiming, for instance, she played her 5 games in 5 consecutive days.
Correct. Yeah.
So I mean, to have a successful streak, you have to be prepared to play several days in a row anyway.
Yeah, sure.
So maybe that it was for the best that the qualifying was done, in a short time span.
Yeah.
Now, Japan, I'm not sure how they selected the team. I'm not sure if they even had qualifiers or if they just picked 5 players.
No, okay. What I hear normally, what happens in Japan is that they rank the players by prize money. So basically, the players with the top 5 players by prize money will just make the team, if their schedule allows.
Right. Yeah. So, and that's probably what happened. So they didn't even have qualifiers.
Right. Yeah.
Mind you, in Japan, I think it's pretty clear who like the top 6 or 7 are.
Right. Yep. That's true.
Like you've got the 5 that were in this team, and then you've got like New Echo.
Yeah.
And I mean, can you really think of someone else that is equivalent to any of those players? Shiho Shiho, sorry, she made like the women's Honinbo final, but I wouldn't classify her as on the level of any of those 6. So
yeah, correct. I mean, there's is it the women's Honinbo league or Meijin league?
The Meijin league.
Yeah, the players in that could arguably be in the running, but I don't think the rest of the players in the league are in the same class as the 5 we have here. Maybe in this year, Kobayashi Ayumi, she's quite strong.
Izumi?
Izumi. Kobayashi Izumi.
She's a bit of a veteran.
Yeah.
You've also got Ueno Asami's sister, Risa, who she could one day be in the running. Definitely has the genetics for it.
Yeah.
But that's how they pick their team. Now Korea probably had the fairest selection, but that doesn't mean it was the best selection. So what happened for Korea is now their number 1 player was automatically picked to the team. That's Choi Jeong.
Yeah.
And no one's going to argue with that. Choi Jeong was always going to be part of this team.
Correct.
Then the 3 qualifiers, then they had qualifiers for the next 3 spots. And those qualifiers were single elimination.
Right.
So they had about 48 women enter the qualifiers.
Right.
And so they were split into 3 groups of 16. And so if you won 4 games, you made the team.
Right.
And that's how Yujin, Hyo So-hyun, and Lee Seol-ju were picked.
Yep.
And you would have to say Yujin is, was probably gonna, like, that's a good choice.
Yeah.
Hyo Hyun and Lee Sol-ju. I mean, I would have to say there are several other Korean women who I would put in the team over them.
Yeah, for example,
Cho Song-ah,
Cho Seung-ah. Yep.
Kim Yoon-ji,
Kim In-ji.
even someone like Cho Hee-yeon.
Yep.
Kim Hyo-min probably didn't enter the qualifiers because I think she was on maternity leave.
Right.
But who else? Like even Park Ji-yeon.
Yep.
Kim Yoon-young.
Yep.
Like I would pick any of those players over who they picked. But the thing is, right, all of them entered the qualifiers and they all lost.
Yeah.
They all got eliminated.
Yeah.
So, whereas Lee Sol-ju and Hyo So-hyun, they won their 4 games. So they deserved it. They earned their spots. But what I'm saying is that perhaps the qualification system for Korea, while fair, didn't produce the best team because Lee Sol-ju and Hyo So-hyun, all 3 of them actually lost their games. In fact, all 4 of those players, Choi Jeong, Yujin, Hyo So-hyun, and Lee Sol-ju, did not win a game in the Hoban Cup.
No.
They won their qualifying games. They earned their spots on the team, but when it came to the tournament, they completely failed.
Yep.
Whereas the final spot was a wild card. So basically, they had Choi Jeong in the team, then they had the 3 qualifiers, and then it was up to the KBA. They had sort of the discretion to pick the final spot.
Yeah.
And that went to Kim Chae-young, who was the highest ranked woman not yet on the team.
Right.
And she actually won a game. She beat Woo Yiming.
Right, that's right.
Right?
Yeah.
The funny thing is, whereas she actually lost to Oh Jong-ah in the qualifiers.
Right.
But she was selected as a wild card because she failed to qualify. She got eliminated in the qualifiers.
Yeah.
She was the only Korean in the team that lost a qualifying game.
Yeah.
But she ended up being the only one to actually win a game in the Hoban Cup itself.
Yeah. The irony.
Yeah. So, I mean, it just goes to show that perhaps, the qualifying format for the Korean team may need to be relooked at. The thing is, the Nongshim Cup, for instance, while we say it's basically the open equivalent of the Hoban Cup.
Yeah.
But the Nongshim Cup, so in the Hoban Cup, all of the 48 women that entered the qualifiers, they all had to start at the beginning. So they all had to win 4 games if they wanted to qualify.
Yeah.
In the Nongshim Cup, the qualifiers are broken down into tiers. So if you're outside the top 60 or something like that, you're put in the first tier. Then if you're ranked 7th to 60th, you're put in the second tier. So in the first tier, you have to win 3 games to make the second tier. And then in the second tier, you basically have to win 3 games to make the final tier. And the final tier, that's where 2nd and to 6th or something, that's where they enter.
Yeah.
And you have to win 2 games in the final tier to make the team.
Right.
So basically, if you're in the top 5 in Korea or something like that, you only need to win 2 games to make the Nongshim Cup team.
Right.
You don't have to start at the very beginning.
Yeah.
But in the Hoban Cup, all of the players, except for Choi Jeong, who's put in the team automatically, all of them need to start at the beginning if they want to qualify, which is fair, right? Which is a more fair system than the Nongshim Cup, but it produces an overall weaker team.
Yes.
Because it doesn't reward consistency.
No.
But it's something worth thinking. And then, the other thing to think about is, Yujin and Choi Jeong, they just completely failed.
Yeah. That's a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise. And their games weren't particularly impressive. It was not like they were winning for a large amount and then they just made, a silly Byoyomi mistake. They were genuinely outplayed.
Yeah.
And it is perhaps cause a bit of a cause for concern. Choi Jeong has, lost probably a few more games than she would have expected this year. She hasn't had a great year.
No.
And on the other hand, Yujin has had a good year, very strong year, but Yeah, I guess she just hasn't been super consistent.
Yeah. Now, honestly, before the conclusion of the Hoban Cup, the way it ended, I honestly thought Choi Jong might do something like a Sinjin So and just clean up. But that's kind of just didn't happen. Now, you said the Nongshim Cup team, they put in this mechanism where it's tiered, so it's the top players are more likely to get selected, and that is true. If you remember, Korea has for 2 years in a row now selected the top 5 possible players by their ranking into the Nongshim Cup team. But last year they also had a disaster until Shinjin So came onto the scene.
Yeah,
So
you would have to say. I mean, you'd have to say that the last Nongshim Cup, Shinjin So basically
yeah,
covered up Korea's
yeah,
failure. I mean, he really did pull off a miracle. That overall, the Korean team did very poorly, and I would have to say it's a slight cause for concern.
yeah,
You can't. Korea just can't rely on Shinjin So to win everything.
yeah,
Um, for them, he needs some backup.
yeah,
One other thing on this Hoban Cup.
yeah,
So my Korean friend was sort of joking with me,
yeah,
that this is a Korea, like this is the first year of the Hoban Cup, and this is a Korean tournament, a Korea hosted tournament.
yeah,
And if you recall, Japan used to host more world tournaments. They used to host majors like the Toyota Cup
yeah,
and the Fujitsu Cup, and
yeah,
both have been discontinued. And it's widely believed that they were discontinued because Japan just was doing so badly at them.
yeah.
So my friend was joking. Have we seen the last Hoban Cup?
Yeah.
Have we
I
just
think
watched the last Hoban Cup?
I think there may be some truth to it because in China they did some more sensational reporting, sensationalist reporting. So one of the report was like, sponsor Hoban Cup cancelled the awards ceremony because Korea came last. Now, now he put that headline up on the website, but I think what's happened is they didn't cancel the award ceremony. Hoban Cup just decided to hold it in China instead, because obviously the Chinese team won. But it and he did say that you do get a sense that the sponsor in Korea, in this case the Hoban, the company, they do pay a lot of attention to how well Korea does, and he feels that perhaps because of that, the pressure that the sponsor puts on the players, and that kind of causes them to not perform as well because of the psychological pressure. There could be some truth to it. They really do care about how well you do. So unfortunately that's how things work. And now, Gaza, apart from talking about the sponsors, Sung Tai-kun also made a bit of a fool of himself during the Hoban Cup, didn't he?
Why? First off, who's Song Tae-kung and what did he do?
Sung Tai-kun was probably one of the strongest players in Korea. In fact, I believe he might have made the semi-final of an In Cup or at least some other international competition. He was one of the strongest players in Korea.
He did make the semi-final of a tournament, a world major. I'm not sure which one, but
I think it might have been an In Cup. But anyway, he was one of the strongest players in Korea once, but he's now basically one of the most popular commentators on Baduk TV. Like basically, whenever you see a big competition, you see him maybe paired up with Mundo Wan or one of the other ladies. So he's probably like one of the fan favorites. But he copped some flack from the fans this time around because apparently when Choi Jeong was losing to Ueno Asami, he kept coming up with variations where Ueno Asami would just slip up, like make 3 blunders in a row and let Choi Jeong back into the game, and he keep making diagrams like this and keep giving false hope to the fans, and he basically got a bit of a some flack from the fans. And if I'm not wrong, when Ueno Asami was playing Lu Mingquan, Apparently, Song Taekwon was still making diagrams about how Korea could have won this. Not sure if there's any truth in that.
That's terrible, Joe.
Not sure if there's any truth in that, but whatever. So that's a wrap for the Hoban Cup.
Well, actually, did you know that Song Tae-kong actually made the final?
Final?
A final? Yes.
Might be Samsung Cup, LG Cup, one of those. Maybe can't remember.
I'm just I'm trying to find it. I know he actually made the semi-final of a Fujitsu Cup. He actually made one final and 3 other semi-finals. He did not have a bad World Major career at all. No. I cannot remember. I'll try to find out where.
I do remember him as being talked about as one of the most promising players in Korea back in his day, but obviously he's now more known as a commentator than anything else.
He had a very strong career, but you know, when you go into commentary, that's basically, I mean, he's basically semi-retired.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it wasn't in the Samsung Cup. He didn't make the final of an In Cup.
No, I don't think so. No.
No. So let me try and find. Was it okay?
Well, I mean, I can see his wiki page, and what's it say in there? Fujitsu Cup. He made the final of a Fujitsu Cup. Maybe that's what it sounds like. In 2003. It says on the Wikipedia page it says years lost, and it says international and Fujitsu Cup 2003. Let me go to the
Wait, did he actually make?
Let me go to.
He did. Yes, yes, he lost to Lee Sedol. Yes.
Yeah.
He also and he made the semi-final of the Fujitsu Cup a couple of years later. Yeah.
Right. So he's definitely strong player. I think he also made a semi of the LG Cup. That's what it says on the Chinese page. He did also make this semi-final of the In Cup, and also made a Samsung Cup quarterfinal once. And that's what it says on the.
Actually, he made the. That's right. He came second in the Fujitsu Cup in 2003.
Yeah.
He came third in 2004, and he came fourth in 2005.
Right. So it's been a clear downward trajectory from there.
I mean.
Yeah.
They were actually the only 3 Fujitsu Cups he ever competed in.
Right.
So he made the semi-finals every single time. Yeah, so
which is pretty good.
Yeah, that's probably where people remember him from. Yeah, but
no.
perhaps slightly biased in his commentary.
Yes, perhaps. Yeah. Okay, so that's a wrap for the Hoban Cup, Gaza. Now, maybe we should just go because we recorded this podcast a bit late. So therefore, we also managed to catch the Meijin final game 6.
Are we covering? So we're going to cover the Meijin because there have been a couple of Japanese title matches. But we can do the Meijin first.
Yeah, we can do the Meijin first. The other I probably have forgotten, but
we've also got the Tengen,
right?
The Urza, and the women's Honinbo. We have to cover the women's Honinbo because that. But we can do that after Meijin.
Yeah. We should definitely talk about the women's Honinbo. Yes. Okay, so in the Meijin, this is Meijin game 6. So the Meijin final is a best of 7. And the title holder is Yuta, and the challenger is Shibano Toramaru. So up to game 5, Shibano has up to game 4, Shibano has raised to a 3-1 lead. So basically, Shibano just needs one more win to win the Meijin title, to regain his Meijin title. But he lost to Yuta in the game 5. And now we're on to game 6. I honestly cannot remember if we had covered game 5 in the previous podcast. Or was
we have.
We have, okay. So, yes.
We have.
Okay. So
because game 5 happened... Yeah, game 5 happened. We covered that in the last podcast.
Right. Okay. So this is game 6. Now, we did talk about this before because Shibano Toramaru was... and Yuta has played in, I believe, the Honinbo last year. And it was kind of similar situation. Shibano was leading 3-1. And Yama just went bang, bang, bang. and won the series 4-3. And this is game 6. And if Iyama wins this again, then it will get to game 7, and we might see Shibano retain his title again with a 4-3 score, but first going down 3-1, right? So, but is Yama Yuta going to win game 3?
Game 6.
Game 6. Now in this game, Shibano Toramaru is white, Yama Yuta is black. Now I just remember this game was quite interesting because it looks like Shibano Toramaru deliberately let his stones inside his black territory like become really, really weak before he starts to kind of move them out. And yeah, like to me this is just I don't know if I could ever play like this, just have my group really weak group deep inside the territory and then try to do something with it. It seems to be a very hard way to play. But anyway, it ended up being that Shibano decides that this is enough. This group can run out. It's not fully connected because anytime black can attach and try to threaten this group more. But Shibano decides to play away. But I think at this point, I think the game was fairly even. So anyway, Yama decides to, try and capture these stones, and Yama just decides to sacrifice them. And he does so by blocking off the whole center here. And I thought this is getting into Shibano's rhythm, although at this point I would probably slightly prefer black because black Yama Yuta has captured quite a bit of stuff, and there's not much.
Wait, can we just go back? Can you just go back one move to move 60?
60, yeah.
So one thing that we should point out is that the Meijin is played over 2 days,
Correct.
each game.
Yeah.
It's one of those 2-day games where each player has 8 hours, and the first day is usually 7.5 or 8 hours.
Yeah.
Then they finish it off on the second day.
Yeah.
Move 60
Yeah.
was the sealed move.
Yeah.
And you may think, they only played 59 moves on the first day.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. That's not very many moves.
Yeah.
I think in game 5 we mentioned that there were only 65 moves played on the first day, and that was low.
Yeah.
Today it was even less.
Yeah.
But I don't think in this case it was understandable because of just the position. I mean, you've got whites making these crazy moves at the top.
Yeah.
Letting himself be cut off and stuff. So yeah, in this case, it was sort of understandable that they were spending so much time. But yeah, pretty crazy that already we're into day 2.
Yeah, and and I think it was fairly close. And then Shibano makes this move on the 5th line. So anyway, let's just see. But this starting to, it feels like this is getting into Shibano's kind of Shibano's favorite way of playing, which is kind of getting a group that he can attack. So anyway, Yama decides to reduce White's Moyo, but then Shibano decides to play here, and then Yama goes, okay, I don't like that. I'm gonna connect back, and then Shibano decides to cut. Now, obviously, with this cut, it doesn't actually cut off any black, but I think Shibano just wants to make this connection sente, and he can just extend down. Now, of course, you may be thinking, why doesn't Shibano just extend down? I guess, or just connect, threatening to cut and then extend down. Why does he have to cut first? I think the reason is by cutting first, Yama have to take this stone, so now the whole group is cut off. But imagine if Shibano, instead of cutting, just connect here. Now, Yama might just decide to connect just the tail back and then let Shibano cut off the top. So Shibano doesn't want Yama to just have the top. Shibano wants Yama to have the whole thing and then cut him off. So that was quite interesting. But anyway, so Shibano achieved exactly what he wanted, which is have a black group inside his influence. So I think at this point, I would think it's it's harder for black to play, but I think AI only has Shibano marginally ahead, if I'm not wrong. But anyway,
the game is just this game is really complicated.
Yeah,
It's just I mean I obviously both of these I would argue that neither Iyama nor Shibano knew what was going to happen to that black group in the middle.
Oh no, so it just looks like a very complicated situation. I guess I would personally get really nervous if I play black, because to me black just looks like it has zero eyes. Literally zero. There's no obvious way to make. I guess black can jump and then make one eye in the middle for sure, but that's just one eye. But anyway, at this point, I thought Yama just decides that he should play in the corner and just says, "Oh, this black group is alive. Yeah, whatever." Obviously, this black group cannot die. If it dies, then the point difference would be too huge. It's not like it's something that Yama can sack. So what did Shibano do? Obviously, I start attacking this group.
I think I have to say, I think that move 94, I think that may be a little bit too aggressive.
Right.
I think the AI suggests something like playing on top of the stone, that stone in the lower
this
right.
One.
Yeah, playing there.
Clamp here to destroy this eye.
Yeah. So less space for eyes, I guess.
Yeah.
But Shibano's just doing what he does.
Yeah. I don't know if even Yama can read so much and
I don't think so.
And confident. Now I did read an interview that Yama gives, and basically the way he describes the way he plays is that in a situation most pros can read this far, and on top of that I'll try to read even further. So that's how he gains an advantage in how he plays. So Yama really tries to read deep, and I think he does it in such a way that he knows that he has to read deeper than what you would normally expect a pro to do. But even then, it's still unfathomable that how someone can even read so far to be sure that his group's alive. But it's just not. It doesn't feel possible. But
anyway. I have my doubts.
Yeah,
I really do have my doubts that any pro is able to read out the status of this group from this point. I put this in my AI in Katago, and I ran this to hundreds of thousands of playouts, and I still wasn't confident that it knew that it knew the status of this group, or even who was winning. Like I really don't think that my AI actually got this position right. It's just that complicated.
It's a crazily complicated situation. I mean, there are some maybe RGs in whites, but it's just not clear. But let me tell you, Yama just played beautifully over here. I think at this point Shibano might be close to Biyomi. If not, he's already in it.
I think that move 101.16. I didn't like that move either.
Right.
I'm not really sure what it accomplished.
Yeah. It's really hard to see.
Again, so here I think AI suggests the peep.
Here.
Sort of. Yeah, there. Yeah. Right. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why, but
yeah.
And
it's not.
I don't really know, but it.
Yeah, no, I reckon it's even this Oko area is just so complex. I don't know.
I don't think playing the attachment ended up being beneficial because white stones ended up getting cut off.
Yeah, and I do remember that AI didn't really like Shibano's this move, because I think rightly Yama just sacrificed this one stone and has some kind of eye shape over here. But I have to say Yama just played beautifully over here.
Yeah, he was very calm, very composed.
Okay. When he Atari here, I believe this group is basically alive. So there's a guarantee eye in the middle. There's a Gote eye here. I believe there's a Gote eye here. But the Gote eye downstairs is a bit tricky. The way to make a Gote eye is for black to extend over here. And the only way for white to take away this Goatei was to clamp here. But clamping here doesn't work because black can extend. Unless, of course, white's got stones around here. So, but anyway, black is basically alive. Guarantee-eyed, Goatei-eye. So 2 Goatei-eye plus a guarantee-eye. So I was really impressed with how Iyama played here. Just like from a seemingly fairly impossible situation, he managed to make it live. But
I don't understand this move. That 132. Yeah. I don't understand that move. Why not just play in the corner to
kill it?
To kill black.
Start coaling. Yeah. Not really sure, but I guess there's some kind of RG here because this, and there's Atari here, so maybe he thought this would be safer or something. Just completely.
Yeah, I don't think he could afford to do that because I think that white is behind here.
Right.
And so white needs if white gets that entire bottom left corner, then there's still it's still worth counting. Or maybe he thought that white was behind.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't know.
Yeah, it's not. I guess unless we read the interview, we're not really sure. But I guess I was really impressed with Iyama because I remember in the game 5, he kind of just found this Tetsuji in the corner and then just killed. Actually, ended up killing Shibano's group even though he was behind. In this one, he kind of moved out these 2 stones, and he actually got Shibano into trouble. You see now the RG here from the Atari is now happening.
Mm-hmm.
It was just crazy how he played here in such a way that you see what he ended up doing. He also
really solid. Here. Oh, that was a beautiful. That was a really good move. That one there.
Just a beautiful Tetsuji. Now, either these 3 will get captured or this whole thing gets captured. I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he ended up. It's just crazy how by moving out 2 stones deep in white's territory, he ended up capturing all of these white stones. That just looks crazy to me. But anyway, he ended up capturing all of this. I think, but I think Shibano got this one, but I think black still got more out of it. So I guess I think after this point, it's not. I think Shibano's basically lost after this point. But it's just.
Yeah. But I do have a small exercise for Q players at the very end of the game.
All right. So let's go to the end of the game.
Yeah. So this is where white resigned.
Right.
So now the thing is, if white gets all that territory on the left, the lower left, not including the corner, I believe white actually is ahead.
Right.
But the thing is that black stone, that black stone actually lives. So for Q players, you should try and see why white can't just extend on the first line. Why that doesn't work. It's not so obvious. It's a capturing race.
Right.
Yeah, it's quite curious. It turns out that that white's wall doesn't have that many liberties.
So you got a Atari, and then maybe attach here. No.
So no, you actually fill in a liberty on the wall. If white extends on the first line,
throw in.
No, you don't throw in. You play on the third line. You just play there.
Right, because then if
or you can play the net. You can actually play the net
first, and then when Atari's up, then you go up. No, Atari. No, it doesn't work.
No, you can sacrifice that one.
Yeah, Atari.
Yeah, Atari. And then Atari the 3 stones.
Throw in. Yeah. Okay. I see how that works. Yeah. So just when you.
So that black stone actually lives, and so that's not white's territory. So that's why white resigned.
Yeah. That's quite beautiful there. But anyway, So
it was a very impressive game by Iyama. I would say that again, like I said, they only spent 59 moves on the first day,
And even though they had 8 hours main time, they probably did run short on time in the end and were in Byoyomi. But yeah, Iyama played very solid, managed his time very well, and he deserved the win. But it was a great game. And this Meijin has been a really good Meijin. I think all of the games have been quality.
Yeah.
This one may have actually been the best one of the lot. And, I think it's only fitting that we get a game 7.
Yeah. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah. Now, I did a little bit of statistics, right?
Right.
So Korea has 3 tournaments that have, Japan, has 3 tournaments that have best of 7 finals. The Kisei, the Meijin, and the Honinbo.
Yep.
And prior to the Meijin, they had an older form of the Meijin that ran in the 60s and 70s, which is now called the Old Meijin, and that was also best of 7.
Right.
This is the 27th occasion that a player was 3-1 down and they won games 5 and 6 to make it 3-all.
Right.
The other 26 times, can you guess how many times the player that was 3-1 down ended up winning game 7?
2.
So, well, you would actually think it would be more than 50%, right?
Right.
Because I'm talking about, there's been 26 previous times where someone's been 3-1 down, but they won the next 2 games.
Yeah.
To make it 3-all. So you would think that they're on a run, they're on a roll.
Yeah.
So more often than not, they would win game 7.
Yeah.
It turns out it's exactly 50-50.
Oh wow.
13 times the player that won game 5 and 6 won game 7, and the other 13 times the player that lost games 5 and 6 won game 7.
Right.
And in fact, the most recent time that happened was this year in the Kisei.
Right.
When Iyama was down 3-1, he won games 5 and 6, and Ichiriki won game 7.
Yeah. Crazy.
To win the Kisei. So it's actually, you would think that the results and the run of form and all that stuff would be in favor of the player that just won the last 2 games, but history has said otherwise.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, this is actually the 5th time that Iyama has been 3-1 down and won games 5 and 6. And do you know, in the previous 4 times, do you know how many times he won game 7?
3.
Just once.
Oh, just once. Damn.
Yeah, the Honinbo last year. That's the only time he's done it. That's the only time. The other 3 times, he won game 5 and 6.
Yeah.
And he lost game 7.
Yeah.
In fact, there was one time, I think it was the Meijin against, or maybe the Honinbo. No, it must have been the Meijin against Takao Shinji.
Yeah.
He was down 3-0, and he won games 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
And then he lost game 7.
Ah, damn.
So, Iyama, he's actually, it could go either way, this game 7.
Yeah. 50-50. Yeah. So really looking.
And we don't know. We actually don't know who's. So Iyama has so far been white in the odd numbered games 1, 3, and 5. But that doesn't mean he's going to be white game 7.
Right.
So they have nigiri for game 1, and that determines who's white and who's black for the first 6 games. Right. And then they do nigiri again for game 7.
Yep. Oh wow. Yeah. So they'll be looking forward to it. When does happen? When is that happening? Game 7.
Well, that's going to be happening next week.
Next week. Yes. Okay. Yeah. We'll see it when we see the calendar. So,
well, yeah. I've put it in the calendar, and you'll see it.
Yeah. So that's Meijin. So we're gonna cover women's Honinbo, and that's probably...
So the women's Honinbo. So that was great because that was a Sunday game.
Yep.
So definitely had the opportunity to follow this one.
Yep.
And so the women's Honinbo. This is between Fujisawa Rina, who is the reigning Honinbo.
Yep.
And Ueno Asami, who is, the Japan's hero.
Yep.
This week. Well, this year, really.
Yeah.
And, the informed women's player for Japan.
Yeah.
And this is a best of 5. It's the only best of 5 final for women in Japan. And this is game 2. Fujisawa Rina won game 1.
Yep.
And this is game 2. Now, Ueno Asami, she's called the Hammer Girl, right?
Yeah.
Well, she may have brought a hammer to this game, but Fujisawa brought a bazooka, and she blew Ueno Asami away.
Yeah. Now, in this game, Fujisawa Rina is white. Ueno Asami is black. Now, this... I do remember the commentary saying that this move is a bit unusual. This is a huge jump. Normally you see a 1-space jump or 2-space jump, but notice that this is a 3-space jump. So supposedly you would have thought that Ueno Asami has done some research on this.
Yes.
And but if you look at the results, you may think otherwise, because apparently up to this point, black is basically in a little bit of a trouble.
This was not... Oh, yes.
So basically, look, notice how black is in 3 pieces already. 3 pieces. I guess black's only hope is capturing this white stone here.
Yeah, so for amateur, like for Q players, you look at that white group and you think, well, it's a second line.
Yeah.
And it's now been blocked. And the rule is if it's 6 stones,
it's dead.
It's dead. White, even if it's white's turn.
Yeah.
But the problem is, black surrounding groups aren't alive either. And in fact, it's a capturing race, and black is short on liberties on the left.
And I just remember just playing through some sequence myself, and I just couldn't see a way for black to get out of this. And so basically,
so like the thing is, right? The thing is that white group.
Yeah.
It's not unconditionally alive by the technical term, but it's completely alive. That 6-stone stick on the second line, that is alive.
Yeah.
Black can't kill it.
Yeah.
And that means that the black stones to the left are dead. So that's all white's territory.
Yeah.
And that's huge. So and the black clump in the middle, that's like, it's got no eye space at the moment.
Yeah.
Like, it needs to find a way to live.
Yeah.
And, like, what... So now black's trying... The thing is that those white stones to the left of that black clump, they're not in danger of dying. Like, it looks like they're surrounded, but remember that black group underneath it is dead.
Yeah.
So as long as that white group has more liberties, it's completely fine. And as soon as it runs out of liberties, it can just start removing the liberties of the black group. So black's in a lot of problems.
Yeah. So basically, the other interesting thing to me is that the black corner here is not alive, but Ueno Asami decided that she has no time to make it alive. She needs to play elsewhere to try and catch up. But basically, Ueno Asami's position basically collapsed. By some commentary says by about move 40, but by move 60, it's very clear that it's gone. Black's gone basically.
I just want to say something. I tested Katago here.
Yeah.
It said on move 80,
right,
white could have passed.
Yeah.
And still be winning.
Yeah. That's just how bad it was for black.
In a pro game, that is insane to be able to, like, in the end game, like at the very end of the game, that is probably the only time really that a professional should be able to win, even if they pass.
Yeah.
This is move 80. It just demonstrates just, Asami got completely outread, and it could be to just a bit of information here. The women's Honinbo final is 4 hours main time.
Yeah.
So things like the Hoban Cup is 1 hour main time.
Yeah.
And the women's sort of Kisei that Asami has won several times, that's a fast event. That's like 30 seconds a move or something like that.
Yeah.
This is 4 hours main time. So it seems like a lot of Asami's aggressive moves. I mean, Fujisawa Rina, she's a more peaceful player, like a solid peaceful player like Iyama. So she's able to spend time to find like counters, or how to respond correctly to Ueno Asami's aggressiveness. So if Ueno Asami overplays, Fujisawa is going to punish it, and that's exactly what happened here. And I mean, there's really nothing. There's really nothing in this position that Black can do. It's completely hopeless.
But like what's also interesting is I mentioned this move over here, which is this 3-space jump. Now it's initiated by Ueno Asami. You have hoped that she would have researched this, but it turns out that a few moves later, her position just completely collapsed. So obviously the research wasn't deep enough.
I mean, the last thing that so the last hope for Black here is to attack White's group at the top, and Fujisawa Rina. At this point in the game, Fujisawa Rina definitely didn't play the perfect moves, perfect moves here, because she didn't need to. She just needed to play moves so her groups would live. So she played really, really safe moves and gave Black absolutely no chance. It's and this is a clinical performance by Fujisawa, and very much just over aggressive, perhaps overconfidence by Ueno Asami in this game. And thoroughly got outplayed. And maybe it's a bit of a wake up call that, this sort of her style, she may need some adjusting. But again, not to discredit Ueno Asami too much, because she's had an amazing week. She's had an amazing year. If she doesn't win the Honinbo, it's not a failure. It's not a bad year at all. She has had a great year. But this was definitely, I would have to say unequivocally, this was her worst game this year. Not one of her worst, worst. Perhaps the worst game she's ever played, maybe.
Just and just to underline how terrible that position ended up for Black, the corner ended up dying as well.
The corner ended up dying because Ueno Asami she couldn't afford to play Gote moves. So what happened was she tried to kill the left group. So if you go back to move 96, that's when Fujisawa killed the corner. Because that the group on the left lives. So Ueno Asami just had to try and kill it. And she failed. And once she couldn't do that, there was not long after she resigned. I think even the top left corner died as well.
This one, all of this died, I think.
That died. That died. Maybe the top left corner didn't die. But
so when it cut, it's died. You're gonna Atari here, but I think just
the top left corner lives, but it's like 50 points or something.
So if Black Atari's here, I guess at least extending his Sente, so I guess White also can live this corner, this group. I guess it's just too hard. I guess Ueno Asami decided not enough. So she resigned. I think she was behind by a lot at this point.
AI says says she was behind by like 25 points at least.
Right. Okay. Okay, so that's women's Honinbo for you. Now, Gaza, I do think maybe we should
just quickly. That means that Fujisawa Rina is ahead 2-0.
2-0, yeah.
She only needs to win one more game, and she retains the Honinbo.
Yeah, so it's a best of 5. Now, Gaza is remaining in Japan. I think we should quickly cover what's happening in Osa and Tengen. Maybe not go over the moves, but definitely
just quickly go over them. So Tengen game 2. So if you could bring up the Kifu though.
Yeah, Tengen. Oh yeah, the Kifu for Tengen was quite interesting. Let me.
Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah. We won't go over it too much, but
so we're looking at Tengen game 2. It's a best of 5, and game 1 was won by the current Tengen Seki Kotaro. Seki Kotaro had won the Tengen from Ichiriki Rio last year with a 3-1 score. And this year's challenger was Ida Atsushi, who had lost the game 1. So this is game 2. Seki Kotaro is white, Ida Atsushi is black. And very quickly, in the beginning, they play this flying dagger, Joseki. Normally, you see player cutting on here, but Seki Kotaro played a less common variation, which is cutting on the outside. He's probably done some research on this, and it kind of shows because I think Ida Atsushi was behind quite early.
Yes, to be honest, this was such an exciting game. To be honest,
Right.
We don't have time to go over it too much. Yeah. But to be honest, we're probably not good enough to explain everything that's going on. But yeah, I do remember that. Ida Atsushi getting that see that pitchfork at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's unconditionally alive.
Yeah.
But he's gotten 2 points in 10 stones.
Yeah.
Completely inefficient, but it's unconditionally alive.
Yeah.
And yeah, but White has a very healthy lead here because Black Black was attacking that White sort of dragon. And Black doesn't really have much real estate at the moment. Like he has, like that pitchfork, like I said, is a whopping 2 points. He's got a little bit in the bottom.
Yeah.
But yeah, he doesn't have much going for him, and the AI says that White is got a great position.
Yeah, I think White was absolutely winning. I think for a while I wasn't really sure how White was going to live, but I guess eventually Seki Kotaro realized that he can live. I noticed that White can Atari here and have one eye and Gote over here. So I think, and also over here, I think either with one move, he can make 2 eyes, or he can make one eye. If Black moves here, he can make a move, at least one eye in Sente, so then he can make a Gote eye here, at least. So I think Seki Kotaro decided that White is alive, so he doesn't have to play here anymore, which I think is correct. And I just thought, and I couldn't remember I couldn't believe the result when I saw it, because I kind of left this game and I just let it go. I just didn't watch it.
When was this game played? Was this game played on the weekend? I'll quickly check. It was played played on a Tuesday. It was played on Tuesday.
Right. And now it's fast forward to the one interesting bit of the game where so for whatever so like Ida Atsushi just made a really unreasonable code over here. So basically there's a code, but the code is versus this White group here over here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 liberties. All right. So chances are Black's not going to win this code, but anyway, Black was really tenacious, keep fighting this code, and something really interesting happens during this code. So they keep fighting this code. Oh, this is the interesting moment. Now when Black played here, now apparently this Ida Atsushi had been planning this. He kind of thought that was his chance of making it. Now, normally when you make a code threat, you then take back the code, right? But that's not what he did. Instead, he played something really sneaky. He threw in and played here, which made it Seki. Gaza, do you know what that means?
So, and I didn't know what this meant during the game. I was so confused because it didn't make any sense to me. But what that means is that White's group on the right gets no points.
No points. And why is that, Gaza?
So that's because in under Japanese rules, in a Seki, neither side gets points.
Yeah.
And that includes, and that's what was so confusing to me. So the 2 false eyes.
Yeah.
So the top right corner is no points.
Yeah.
Those 2 false eyes are not worth points, and even those 2
spaces
Yeah.
on the right middle, no points.
Yeah.
And it just seems so weird because under Chinese rules,
Yeah.
those two spaces would be worth points for white. The two false eyes would be worth points for white.
Yeah.
And then the space in the upper right corner would be a point for black.
Yeah.
And so we'll see what happens at the end of the game. But basically, Chinese rules would say that white would have 3 extra points here.
Yeah.
But under Japanese rules and also under Korean rules,
yeah,
that I checked with a Korean professional here.
Yeah.
That it's black and white get 0 points. It just seems so weird, but that's the case.
Yeah. So by playing in a corner, either Atsushi by playing here, he knows that he's going to eliminate actually a lot of points, and that corner was still Ko's. That's why he kind of just didn't play the Ko anymore, because he that was the maximum amount of point he can extract from this situation. And guess what? He ended up winning by just 1.5. I believe at some point he was only winning by half a point, but maybe Seki Kotaro made some more further mistakes, and he ended up losing.
And I was so confused because, like I said, under Chinese rules, white would have, so black won by 1.5 points. Under Chinese rules, white would have won by 1.5 points or something like that, or maybe 2.5 because Chinese rules has different komi.
Yeah,
and
which is crazy.
It's so crazy. And the funny thing is, there's a website that I sometimes follow called 19x19.com.
Yeah, right.
Because they show live pro games, and they have a really fast. They have a really strong AI.
Yeah.
But the AI, I'm pretty sure that the AI, it's a Chinese website, and the AI for every game that it runs, it uses Chinese rules.
Yeah.
And so it had white at 100% for most almost the entire end game.
Yeah.
And then at the end it says black wins.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's what confused me as well, because intuitively it seems like white at the very least deserves those 2 points in the right middle, but no, under Japanese rules, white doesn't get those points. One other curiosity I just want to point out. So 2 curiosities here.
Yeah.
One is I actually watched the game. So they don't count the dame in the game record.
Right.
But after they filled out the dame, black ended up with 7 groups, including the 2 stones at the top right, because that's a group in Seki.
Yeah, right.
But black had 7 disjoint groups, and I've never seen that before. I've seen 6.
Right.
Perhaps most famously in that game where Shinjinso almost lost to Kim Yoon-ji in the Weiqi Construction Cup. Shinjinso ended up with 6 groups.
Yep.
Here, Ida Atsushi has 7 groups, 1 in Seki and 6 completely alive.
Right. Crazy.
Pretty crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
And one other fact, just a bit of wordplay in English.
Yeah.
So in game 1 of the Tengen, white played on their very first move at Tengen and lost.
Yeah.
In game 2, there was a Seki, and Seki lost.
Right. Maybe something is going on there.
It's just a coincidence, but I just it's just the kind of stuff that I observe.
I'm hoping Ida doesn't eat sushi on the game 3.
I have to say, I was very. This was a really great game. It was a really exciting game.
Yeah.
So many good games for this podcast.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Well, I mean, we've gone like 10 days without recording an episode, so that means in this best of 5, it's 1-1. Seki Kotaro is won the game 1, but Ida Atsushi, with a clever Seki trick, managed to pull 1 back, so it's 1-1. And really looking forward to what happens in this Tengen. So, and then we got the other game that's happened, a Japanese title match with the Oza.
Yes.
Which was between...
So the Oza, Iyama Yuta is the reigning Oza.
Yeah.
Zhengqi ended up being the challenger.
Yeah.
So they pointed out that it's two Kansai players playing. Now, one of them, Zhengqi, plays in the Kansai Kiin.
Yep.
Iyama Yuta, he plays for the Nihon in the Nihon Kiin, but he's actually from the Kansai branch.
Right. Yes.
So the Nihon Kiin has like a Tokyo branch, a Kansai branch, and I think they have one other branch.
Like
and
some
Iyama
central,
is from the Kansai branch.
Right.
Like Nakamura Sumire also used to be in the Kansai branch. She later moved to the Tokyo branch.
Right. Yeah.
But I believe Iyama has always been in the Kansai branch. So they said, two Kansai players playing for the Urza, and the game one was in Tokyo.
Yeah, that's great.
But so I don't think we need to go over this game too much. I wouldn't mind looking at the Kifu, because there's one move that I want to point out.
Yeah, let's see if I can find a Kifu. Now I just realized there's no reporting of on Pro Weiqi. Maybe it was just missed in the midst of things.
Oh yeah, well we can put a report there.
Yeah, put a report.
But it happened on Friday.
Right.
So.
Okay.
Friday the 21st.
Yeah.
Yes. Of October.
I can find.
You know what? Stuff it. We can. It was definitely the least interesting game of the Japanese title games.
Yeah.
Now, it ended up being Iyama won game one.
Yeah.
So what happened? Iyama won by 1.5 points.
Yeah.
The one interesting thing is that I don't think at any point. At any point, any player was leading by like more than 4 points.
Right.
The game was in like very, very close in terms of points.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole thing, there were no major dead groups or anything like that. It was a really, really close game. So it was all about Yosei.
Yeah.
The fatal move, I think, was move 163.
Right. Now, I would have thought it would be 125 would be the first losing move, because as you can see, it feels unnecessary. But anyway, so
that wasn't a great move, but it wasn't the losing move.
Right. So you see, it was 100 and okay. So now at this point, I wasn't a big fan of Zhengqi's position. Zhengqi is black, so these two stones got cut off here. But anyway, it's still
they can be saved
at this point. Yes, but Yama was very clever. He kind of played this kind of sente first, and then he comes back.
But I think in move 163, AI says that White should just capture,
leave it, and just go back to
White. White should go back to the left,
yeah,
and capture that.
No, I think it's black. Black should.
Black. Sorry, black should go to the left, capture those two white stones.
Yeah,
yes,
I think.
And the game's still very close.
Right, and I think there's a few ways. Black and Atari, but I think AI has an even more efficient move at jumping here.
Yes, a wide net, a wideish net. Yeah,
yes.
It's.
But I guess the idea is White can't really cut because Black and Atari and push. And if White cuts one more, then no.
It requires some reading, but the AI says that is.
Doesn't work.
It doesn't work. I mean, White is it's a really close game.
Yeah.
At this point, but Black's move 163 ended up just making everything sort of White could save those 3 stones, and from there just wasn't enough.
Right.
There just wasn't enough activity for Black to do anything anymore, and so
if Zhengqi had better reading, he could have saved this one move and just got one better in the Yosei, but it didn't happen for Zhengqi. So the perennial number 2, Zhengqi, again comes
very good at coming second, and he's now he already made a title final,
right?
A title match this year in the Judan,
right?
And he lost 3-0 to Su Shaowan.
Yeah, the fellow Taiwanese. Yeah.
He's already 1-0 behind in the Urza, so this is also best of 5. So still yet to actually win a game in a title match this year.
Right. Yeah.
And he's still yet to win a title match He does hold the title. He is the Kansai Keiin champion.
Yep.
I believe he just won that title actually against Murakawa Daisuke.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
Defended that title, but that's not a major title, and that's only a Kansai Keiin title. So yeah, he's still looking for his maiden championship major. His maiden major.
Yep.
He's definitely good enough to win one, but Iyama, this is the era of Iyama and the Three Crows. So his competition's very, very strong.
Yeah, very intense.
I don't know when game 2 is. I haven't.
Yeah.
It hasn't. Oh, actually, no. I do know when game 2 is. Sorry, I do know when game 2 is. I'll just quickly say when it is. It is on the 11th. Yeah. So it's not for a few weeks.
Okay.
So don't need to worry about that for a while.
And then game 3 is on the 18th. So yeah.
It is too. Yeah.
Okay, we got that. So that's the Oza done and dusted. Now Gaza. It's been a while. It's been a while since we started this episode, but we really do need to talk about this one because this is the big one, potentially the biggest tournament of the year. Maybe I'm just exaggerating a little, but this is the Samsung Cup, which is going to happen tomorrow.
And regarding the Samsung Cup, after we recorded our last podcast, a bombshell was dropped in Japan.
Bombshell, yes.
That may not be the best choice of words. Yeah. But there was some major news in Japan.
Yes.
After we recorded the last episode. Now, if you recall, the Samsung Cup has 32 players.
Yeah.
It's always had 32 players, and when we finished the last episode, there were 31 players determined.
Yeah.
And with only the wild card to be selected.
Yeah.
Now, not only has the wild card now been selected, but one of the 31 players is actually not going to be competing and has been replaced.
Yeah.
So do you want to say what happened?
Yeah. And basically, it's Yoda Norimoto, the winner of the first ever Samsung Cup, will not be participating despite having qualified through the Japanese senior section. Now the reason was, and I because I don't read Japanese, so I don't exactly know what happened, but I did link the Yahoo article there. But someone also told me in the comments that Yahoo Japan would not be available in Europe from next year or something. So part of our viewers may not be able to even read this article if they're situated in Europe. But anyway, the article is in Japanese. But basically what happened was apparently Yoda has made some derogatory comments about the Nihon King. I don't know exactly what she said, but apparently one of the sponsors got so angry that they pulled sponsorship of one of the tournaments. And Nihon King obviously weren't really too happy with Yoda's comments, so they kind of banned him for 6 months. And what then happened was Yoda then took Nihon King to court. And basically court ordered Nihon King, I assume, or whatever the procedure was, to basically temporarily stop the ban while this case is being resolved. So basically Yoda was unbanned, so that's how he managed to play in the tournament, in the qualifying games. And then he managed to qualify, and after he qualified, I believe it's the Tokyo local court came down with the judgment saying that Nihon King's ban of Yoda was actually right, and so now Nihon King is reinstated Yoda's ban and banned him for a further 6 months. So he will be banned from playing Go until March 2023, which means that he cannot participate in the Samsung Cup. Damn. I was looking forward to him.
So and so not only now, there has been a case before of a Samsung Cup qualifier not participating.
Right.
And it was for very, very different circumstances. It was in 2013, I believe, when Lee Min-jin, from Korea, she qualified for the Samsung Cup.
Yeah.
But she
was pregnant or something.
She was pregnant.
Yeah.
And I believe she actually went into labor.
Wow.
Just when the first game was meant to start. Now back then it was a double. The first section of the Samsung Cup was double elimination, so you had to play at least 2 games.
Right.
And she had to forfeit both of those games.
Oh wow.
Because I believe she actually went into labor. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So now in that case though, she's still listed as a participant. But her games are just counted as forfeit. So her games were counted as losses.
Right.
But she was still listed as a participant. In this case, Yuta has been removed as a participant and he's been replaced by someone else.
Yes. Now technically it's hard to say who actually replaced him, but I guess the common understanding is that Nakamura Sumire replaced him and Yujin is the seed. But technically, Nakamura Sumire and Yujin were both wildcards. So
yes. So as you said, they're basically Yuta got removed, and then so instead there were 2 wildcards.
Yes.
And Yujin was one of them.
Yep.
The Wu Qingwen reigning champion, and Nakamura Sumire is the other one. Yep. And it's technically, I guess there's not a direct replacement for Yuta. Instead, it's just Yuta was removed and they added a wild card.
Correct.
So I guess technically speaking, neither Yujin nor Nakamura Sumire are a direct replacement for Yuta.
Correct.
But symbolically speaking, I think everyone is sort of linking Nakamura Sumire to Yuta because Nakamura Sumire is Japanese.
Correct. Yeah.
And Yuta is Japanese, and typically the wild card for the Samsung Cup, a Korean tournament, is Korean.
Right.
So people are thinking of Yujin as the original wild card, and Nakamura Sumire as the replacement.
Yeah.
For Yuta, but technically, semantically, pedantically speaking, neither of them are a replacement for Yuta. It's just 2 wild cards.
Yeah. Well, I mean, given we have pure math degrees, it's right for us to be pedantic, if that's all right.
Well, let's not talk about that. But yeah. But in any case, interestingly enough, Yujin and Sumire, neither of them are they're both making their Samsung Cup debut.
Yeah.
But for them, both of them, it's their second World Major. They both participated in the most recent M. Lily Cup.
Right. Yes.
So once again, they're playing in the same World Major, this time the Samsung Cup. Interestingly enough, Fujisawa Rina and Ueno Asami, neither of them have actually played in have played in a World Major.
Right.
Whereas Sumire is already now going to be playing in 2.
Yeah. Crazy.
And a bit weird because Fujisawa herself, I mean, Ueno Asami, you could say that maybe the timing just wasn't on her side.
Yeah.
But Fujisawa Rina was a prodigy as well. She turned pro maybe she was only maybe 1 year older than Sumire was.
Right.
And she turned pro. So Fujisawa Rina was a prodigy herself, but she didn't get these sort of invites.
Yeah.
Like Nakamura Sumire has. So I just found that interesting, but we'll see how they do.
Yeah. And also the draw is out for the first round. Now the draw are done on the principle that players from the same country will they shall not meet unless of course there's more than half of the players are from one country. Then there's no choice. One of them, a couple of them have to meet. But the draws are done, I believe, every round, and they try to make it so that you can't have Chinese playing Chinese or Korean playing Korean.
Yeah, so they do have a redraw every round,
right?
And so since as long as less than half the field is from a single country, it'll always be unless more than 50% of the field is from the same country.
Yeah,
every matchup will be between players from different countries. Yes.
Yeah. And I guess you could technically have Taiwan meet China. So.
Taiwan and China for this purpose are considered different countries, and also like players like Su Shaowan, they're considered Japanese. Like they're considered. What we mean is the country that they represent. Yeah.
It's basically I think they represent Nihon Kin and also Kansai Kin, but they're considered Japanese players. So now, one of our friends, Korean friend, basically said that the draw for the first round It's basically they're playing finals in the first round. Now we can kind of see.
The real interesting one is it has to be Koji versus Park Jun-won, because
right.
If you think about it, Koji and Park Jun-won, they're the two most recent Samsung Cup champions.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
And they're playing each other in the first round.
Crazy.
That one's definitely that one's surely going to be game of the round. Obviously, Park Jun-won is the reigning Samsung Cup champion, whereas Koji is the king of the Samsung Cup. He's won four of them.
Yeah. So you pick that over Mi Yuting versus Shinjin So?
Absolutely.
All right. Okay.
Mi Yuting versus Shinjin So, but Mi Yuting and Shinjin So is a close second, because Mi Yuting is one of the Chinese players that Shinjin So seems to have difficulty against. Of course, remember, of course we've talked about this so many times, but I mean, it's always worth talking about that Shinjin So won 24 consecutive games against Chinese players.
Yeah.
The person that he lost to on either side of those 24 wins was Mi Yuting.
Yeah.
And he has beaten Mi Yuting several times. He beat him in the Nongshim Cup. He beat him in the Kuksu Mountains International Tournament.
Yeah.
And he does have a winning record, but Mi Yuting has gotten the better of him, has been able to get the better of him even when Shinjin So's in super form.
Yeah. Now I do believe the round 1 is played over 2 days. So in day 1, Mi Yuting will play Shinjin So. In day 2, Koji will play Park Jun-hwan. So at least one big game to look forward to per day. Okay, which will start tomorrow. Now, and then also, let's go through the other matchup. So we've got Dang Yifei versus Byung Sang-il. So that's another fairly big one. So Byung Sang-il is newly number 2 in Korea, and he still hasn't won an international title. I think
he hasn't won an international major.
Major, yes.
He did win the Kuksu Mountains International, which is an international tournament, but it's not a world major.
Correct. And I don't think he's ever even made a final of a world major yet. So,
no, he hasn't made the final. He has made a semi-final.
Right. Yes, I think he made a semi-final, losing to Koji in the LG Cup. That was an exciting game. I remember that. So another big one. So we have Fan Ting-yu and Kang Dong-yun. And of course, we know that Kang Dong-yun beat Fan Ting-yu in the Nongshim Cup recently. So time for Fan Ting-yu to get some revenge going. Two former LG Cup winners face off also in the first round. Yang Dingxin versus Shin Min-jun. Yang Dingxin is leading 4-1 at least, based on games with Kifu on Kifu Depot. So another good one to look forward to. Now, Li Xuanhao was man of the hour or man of the year in China, rising
Player
to
of
number
the year
2.
in China,
Newly number 2 in China, faces Kim Yeon-hyun, basically a regular in international tournaments, but yet to do.
He is a jar leaguer.
He is. But I don't think he's done that well.
He hasn't done that well.
No. And then you have Gu Zihao and Wen Songjin, another
2 former champions.
Yes, looking forward to that. And you got Zhao Chenyu and Kim Ji-sok.
You may need to change the spelling of Zhao Chenyu. I think you've got his rating wrong there.
No, it's wrong. Tang Wei-shin's also spelled wrong. His rating
and Li Chang-ho as well.
Yeah, should be double E. But anyway, got Zhao
That's
Chenyu
okay.
versus Kim Ji-sok.
Now, Kim Ji-sok is a former Samsung Cup champion.
Right.
He has had a bit of a rocky patch this year, fallen out of the top 10 in Korea, but who knows? You can't write him off.
Yeah, he might fall further.
Well, I mean, losing to Zhao Chenyu there's no shame in that.
Yeah. Now, just for information, Kim Ji-sok is 44th in the latest goal ratings, so he's not in the top 20 anymore. But anyway, so we got Tang Wei-shin.
I would still back him against Koji, though.
Right. Right. Okay. Okay. Next is Tang Wei-shin and Yu Oh-seong.
Now, because of Tang Wei-shin's misspelling, you've got Yu Oh-seong at 93%. It's probably the other way around. In fact, it could be even higher for Tang Wei-shin.
Yeah.
Tang Wei-shin has
an incredibly strong record in the Samsung Cup.
Yeah.
He's won it twice.
Yeah. Made the final further 2 times, at least, I think.
And he's made the final twice, yes. Yeah. He's made 4 finals, yes. He's done well in this tournament. That's a very easy pick. Yuo Song has got a very, very tough matchup there.
Now, something interesting about Yuo Song now, apparently he's changed his name. He used to go by a different name. And that's when he used that name when he was playing in amateur competitions. But now, at some point, apparently he changed his name to Yuo Song. His name was not Yuo Song before. But anyway, we shall let the people in the know to tell us exactly what's happened. But
I didn't know that.
I'll just leave it at that for now. Tan Xiao versus Lee Chang-ho. Lee Chang-ho, the legend, is coming back. I was hoping to see Lee Chang-ho versus Yoda Norimoto, but didn't happen.
Tan Xiao, the Chunlan Cup champion, versus Lee Chang-ho, the 3-time Samsung Cup champion.
Legend, 3 consecutive winners. And then you have Yujin from the Chinese women's section playing Lee Hyun-jin. Can't say I know too much about this guy.
Lee Hyun-jin. This is obviously his first Samsung Cup. Actually, this is not his first. Wait, it's not actually his first World Major. He has played in the BC Card Cup, so he's not a young player.
He's not a young player. Yes, okay.
At Yujin, this is not her first Samsung Cup, and she actually this is her second Samsung Cup, and she didn't do too badly. In the first one she played.
Yeah.
She beat Choi Han and reached the round of 16.
Yeah.
But and she lost to Lee Sedol.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to add, she beat Choi Han, and I do believe she also beat who's the other person that's Mokjin Sok. Yes. So she's beat 2 strong players in her first outing. So that's
I will say that Mokjin Sok has not the best Samsung Cup record.
Right. But I think for a long time Mok was ranked number 3 in Korea.
Yes, and Choi Han is former In Cup champion.
Yeah, so. yeah. And then we got the Taiwan rep Xu Haohong versus Gon Ji-woo.
Gom Ji-woo. Now we've talked about Gom Ji-woo before. I've gone on diatribes about him.
Yeah.
I really hope Gom Ji-woo wins this one. I'd love to see him succeed.
Yeah.
He's still very, very young. He's still, just to even qualify for this shows that he may be back to improving. I think he's still outside the top 100.
Yeah.
But if he beats Xu Haohong, that's going to do great for his confidence. And
I doubt that's going to happen. Now,
we'll see. We shall see.
We shall see. Another very interesting matchup: Choi Jeong versus Sada Atsushi. This could be a 50-50 kind of thing.
Well, Choi Jeong is really not, like I said, we've said before. Choi Jeong is not in good form. Some of the worst form she's been in quite many years. She has played in 4 Samsung Cup before, so this is her 5th.
Yep.
And she has beaten players before. Who did she beat? She beat Shi Wei and Tao Jinran 4 years ago.
Oh wow, amazing! Yep.
Reached the round of 16 and lost to Lan Zhao. Whereas Sada Atsushi, this is actually his 2nd Samsung Cup. He played 2 years ago.
Yep.
But he lost. He lost his first round.
Yeah.
I would have to tip, just based on form, I would have to tip Sada Atsushi.
Yeah. Now, of course, Sada Atsushi, he's beaten Li Yuting in the, I believe, Chunlan Cup first round.
Yes.
So he's not, like, they're all pros. So you can't just, treat them as if they're like, easy beats. You still have to exert effort. And then another really interesting matchup, Yujin versus Ichiki Ryo.
Yes. Now, Yujin, people might think, she's doing great recently.
Yeah.
But the actual fact is she hasn't.
Right.
She really hasn't. And you can't just look at her Wuqing Wen Cup because, you really need to look at her performance after that. And it's not just the Hoban Cup. Like we said, she lost her game in the Hoban Cup. She's actually played 5 games since she won the Wu Qingwen Cup, and she's lost 4 of them.
Right.
And, one of those games was against Lee He. The other 4 were against Korean players, and I think Korean women's players as well.
Right.
So she's actually in quite a slump.
Yeah.
And Ichiriki, he hasn't done too well either, but I mean he's mostly played Iyama.
Yeah.
And
he lost to
you would have to pick Ichiriki here.
Yeah.
Again, based on form. I would be shocked if Yujin won this.
Yeah, I mean it's a possibility, but generally you expect Ichiriki to beat Anyway,
yes.
And the next one is Han Wujin and versus Xu Chaoyuan.
This one should be a good one. I mean, there's so many good games, but Han Wujin is like the super rookie at the moment in Korea, and Xu Chaoyuan, my favorite player, playing in Japan.
Yeah.
Xu Chaoyuan actually, he has a very poor record in the Samsung Cup. He's played in the last 3 Samsung Cups, and he lost his opening game each time. So he's got a 0-3 record in Samsung Cup so far.
Yeah.
So he'll be looking to get his first win.
Yeah. Improve upon that.
Whereas Han Wujin, I believe this is his first ever world major.
Right.
I'll just quickly try and confirm that.
Yeah.
And yes, it is his first world major. By the way, Gomji Woo and Yu Oseong, for them, it's their first world major as well.
Yeah. Right. And last but not least, the matchup of the super new talents, Nakamura Tsumere versus Kwon Hyo-jin.
Yeah, so Kwon Hyo-jin, he's probably like, well, he was runner-up in the gifted tournament to Kim Byung-seo.
Yep.
And probably behind Kim Byung-seo and Han Woo-jin, he's like the most promising young talent in Korea at the moment. For him, also, this is his first world major. Nakamura Sumire, like we've said, this is her first Samsung Cup, but it's not her first world major.
Yeah.
So she actually has more experience than Kwon Hyo-jin.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is actually a chance for Nakamura Sumire to get a win. I'm not sure if that would make her the youngest person to ever win a game in a world major.
Right.
I'm really not sure. I would have to say that the record would be with Lee Chang-ho at the moment, but that would be my guess.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's correct, but
right. I think I have to see. I can't remember anyone else that young. Maybe Zhou Young. Maybe I'm not sure.
Maybe Chang Hao. Probably not though.
Yeah. Back then, when Chang Hao was young, there wasn't that many international tournaments, if any.
Well, I mean, isn't Chang Hao and Lee Chang-ho the same age though?
Lee Chang-ho became famous way before Chang Hao, I think.
Yeah.
About 7 years before Chang Hao.
Actually, Chang Hao's 1 year younger than Lee Chang-ho.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't know when Chang Hao started playing in world majors. Because China have always been very deep in strength here. So
okay, so that's the roundup. I ignore these winner predictions here, but obviously you have to consider Shin Jin-so and Park Jun-hwa and Kerje to be the favorites, but we shall see. After round 1, I think the picture will be
I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna say a Chinese player is gonna win the Samsung Cup. Right. China's depth is just so strong, and based on what I've seen in the Tunlan, LG Cup, and Nongshim Cup, Korean depth is basically Shin Jin-so, and everyone else is just so inconsistent.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's going to be hard. You got to win 4 games to make the final, and then you got to win 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
I really think the Chinese squad is so strong. Like, any of those players could win, and many of them have won a world major.
Yeah.
So, you know that they're capable. I just find it hard to see anyone from Korea winning this Samsung Cup except for Shinjin. So
yeah. All right. So that's our preview of the Samsung Cup, and I don't really know if I have any predictions to make, and I'm really looking forward to round one. So Gaza, with that out of the way, shall we go to the calendar? Unless it's something you want to cover, of course.
I want to cover the calendar.
Calendar, yes. Okay, let's look at the calendar. So we're already, as I mentioned, we're already recording this podcast late. So tomorrow, as of the recording of this podcast, is Samsung Cup. That will be the biggest tournament for a while. And the Samsung Cup, the good thing about Samsung Cup is, unlike the Chunnan Cup and LG Cup, and maybe in the In Cup and all that, they will be played in a fairly tight schedule. So within a few weeks, it's gonna be.
Yeah, the Samsung Cup's a very condensed tournament. There's no, it's all played within 3 weeks.
Yeah,
whereas the Chunlan Cup is played over almost a year. Oh no, more than a year.
Yeah.
The LG Cup is played over like 9 months.
Yeah, and the In Cup is heading towards a decade. So God knows what's going to happen.
I mean, this is actually going to be the second Samsung Cup to be started and completed since the In Cup semi-finals, and the In Cup finals still hasn't been scheduled.
No. Yeah, God knows what's going to happen.
But yeah, so there's going to be 16 games in the next 2 days.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing a podcast on Friday, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
don't worry about us skipping a week. We're not going to skip a week. We're going to be covering the first round of the Samsung Cup on Friday.
Yeah.
Then, over the weekend, there'll be a Samsung Cup break, but there will be some Korean games.
Yeah.
As well as the SGW Cup.
No idea what that is.
That's a Japanese tournament for players. It's for players that haven't won a major.
Oh, yes.
And are between 30 and 60 years old.
Right.
So I know that. So obviously your favorite players won't be playing in that. Like Ichiriki, Rio, or Konorin.
Yeah.
But there'll be some good players. I don't think Michael Redmond is playing in that one actually. Yeah. He used to, but he may actually be too old now.
Yeah. Now I believe the name of the cup is called, in Chinese it's called Zhongyong. I think it translates to Doctrine of the Mean. Mean meaning the average person. So yeah, it's basically for so average players.
Well, it's for players who haven't won a major or the Ryusei or the Kiriyama Cup, or a previous version of a previous edition of the SGW Cup.
Right,
so you can't win it. You can't win it multiple times, basically.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So basically, you have to not have done much to kind of.
Well, I mean, there are some very accomplished players that haven't won those titles. For example, in a few years, Zhengqi will be eligible for the SGW Cup if he doesn't.
Yeah. That would be a funny one, yes.
That would, that would be crazy.
Yeah.
He's probably his goal is to not be eligible for the SGW Cup ever in his career.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I
mean, the rest of the calendar we'll be covering next podcast.
Yeah.
But notice the next week though.
Yeah.
The reason why Iyama and Shibano are not in the Samsung Cup.
Yeah. Game 7.
That's going to be a good game, and I'm sure people will watch it, and we should be able to try and follow. I might try and follow that one as well, because obviously, as the Samsung Cup goes on, there'll be less players, so there'll be less games each day.
Yeah.
Whereas Thursday and Friday, the 27th and 28th, there'll be 8 games each day, so it's going to be packed.
Just like this episode, Gaza.
Yeah, this has been a long one.
Yeah, and that's with that said, it's time to wrap up. And thanks, Gaza, for another great episode. And we'll see you very soon.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thanks, good. Okay, great. Thanks. Bye.